Good evening to all. Welcome to this session. And we are having Sudha Ravi ma'am, who is an expert resource trainer, teacher trainer, and she's got vast experience in teaching and in teacher training. She was the ex-principal of APJ school here in Pitampura, and now she shifted in Chennai and basically into teacher training. So we are very glad that we have a person of her stature with us, and especially doing a program for the primary teachers, which is the most neglected the area, and that actually has to be the focus. As per the national education policy, the foundation is the most important part of a child's life, and that part is being focused and taken care now as per the new NEP. So we are glad that we are starting these programs for the primary teachers also. Otherwise, on the CBSE website, you will all find everything for the high school teachers. So this program is basically how to deal with tiny tots, and ma'am has graciously accepted to be our resource person for the day. So Sudha Ravi ma'am, we are glad to have you in our midst, and I'm sure you're going to come up with lots and lots of other programs in the coming months.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Matthew, and good evening, all teachers. I can see so many teachers from different parts of India, and thank you all. Thank you all for reposing faith and being here on this Saturday evening. So good evening to all of you. I have a question, and I would like all of you to start putting your answers on the chat. Okay, I'm not going to unmute any of you. When you have a question later, then we will unmute and I'll take questions. So the format of the session today, it is of 1 hour, which includes last 10 minutes for Q&A. So I'll be sharing a screen, and in between I have put some small activities for you people. And as we go along, if you have any question, you can put it in the chat box, and I'll try and answer it towards the end. I'll keep a look out for the questions, and I'll start answering them at the end of the section. Then there is I'll be putting 3 links. One is an activity link, and then there is a feedback link, and then there is a certificate link. Okay, in that order. So only when you finish the feedback, I'll give you 5 minutes to finish the feedback and submit. Then I'll put on the certificate link. You all will get an e-certificate, a soft copy of the certificate. So ensure that you type your name correctly in the Google form so that your certificate has the right spelling of your name, right? So those are the little things. And then I really request all of you to observe the rules of the online sessions. Please keep yourself muted. Only that way we all can take benefit of the time that we are spending. You all have made the effort to be here. So we should draw out maximum from each other. On that note, so let me start the session. I'm going to share my screen. Matthew, I think you will have to make me the host again because it's not.
Ma'am, you can share.
Okay. So, what is the agenda of the workshop? What do we desire to achieve with students of classes 1 and 2? As Matthew rightly said in the opening statement, this area of the school, in a sense, gets neglected. And how we handle these children becomes a big, sometimes a problem with the teachers, and they find themselves at a crossroad where they don't know how to handle these kids. They have a lot of energy, they have a lot of, they're full of life, and they want to do things the way they want them to do. So how to get that right combination where we can have our way, we can get work done from them, and at the same time, we can give them the choices. So we will look at some of the strategies in this span of time. Then to achieve the desired outcome, what do we need to do? And in the process, how to make learning fun for these kids. So those are the three broad areas that I'm going to be talking about in this workshop. And I'm sure many of you know what I'm going to, I mean, it's not any rocket science, or I'm not going to bring something new. It is just that when we share, more ideas come out. And that is the whole purpose of such sessions. So to begin with, I'm going to play a video. She is a big inspiration for me, Rita Pearson. And I would play this video for a couple of minutes. I want you to pay attention and listen to what she says, because there is a little activity post this. So this child who is on the screen, I can see a child. Please mute yourself. I can't see your mother, but I can see a child on the screen, Ayan Khan. Can you please mute? Thank you.
Ma'am, can you increase the volume of the audio?
Sure, sure.
And we know why kids drop out. We know why kids don't learn. It's either poverty, low attendance, negative peer influences. We know why. But one of the things that we never discuss, or we rarely discuss, is the value and importance of human connection, relationships. James Comer says that no significant learning can occur without a significant relationship. George Washington Carver says all learning is understanding relationships. Everyone in this room has been affected by a teacher or an adult. For years, I have watched people teach. I have looked at the best and I've looked at some of the worst. A colleague said to me one time, they don't pay me to like the kids. They pay me to teach a lesson. The kids should learn it. I should teach it. They should learn it. Case closed. Well, I said to her, you know, kids don't learn from people they don't like. She said, that's just a bunch of hooey. And I said to her, well, your year is going to be long and arduous, dear. Needless to say, it was. Some people think that you can either have it in you to build a relationship or you don't. I think Stephen Covey had the right idea. He said you ought to just throw in a few simple things, like seeking first to understand as opposed to being understood. Simple things like apologize. You ever thought about that? Tell a kid you're sorry, they're in shock. I taught a lesson once on ratios. I'm not real good with math, but I was working on it. And I got back and looked at that teacher edition. I taught the whole lesson wrong. So I came back to class the next day and I said, look, guys, I need to apologize. I taught the whole lesson wrong. I'm so sorry. I said, that's okay, Miss Pearson. You were so excited. We just let you go. I have had classes that were so low, so academically deficient that I wondered, how am I going to take this group in not?
So here I have a few questions. You can go and look up her video in the TED Talks, right? Rita Pearson. But I want you to look at these few questions on the screen, and I want you to just answer them. Simple 2 questions. One has multiple choice and another has true or false. So once you complete, you can start putting it in the chat box. Okay, I can see some of the answers coming in. Yes, students must be understood. Perfect. Right. So basically, most of you have got the answers, right? So you all would have realized she really nailed it, right? She said we need to understand the children as opposed to saying the child has to understand. The children never understand these days. I give them work. I am so, committed. I'm such a good teacher. I take so much effort. I do this, I do that. From that, I do, I give work, we have to move from what they want, what they like. So it has to be learning first and not teaching first. That is the first mantra. These are very small kids, right? They have been in pre-primary and they come to us in class 1. So they are just about 6 years old. They still have a lot of energy. They still have a lot of you know physical, they do a lot of physical movement. So how to keep them engaged? So engagement is an important thing, and that can happen when, like Rita Pearson says, when we develop that human connection. We had a teacher in a school where I used to work in Delhi. I don't want to name the teacher or the school, where I was the vice principal, and she was a teacher of a pre-primary class. And the amount of fan following she had was amazing. And when students left after class 12, when we made them do a little exercise about the teacher they really loved, children who had stayed in the school from pre-primary would always put her name. I still can't forget that. So what is it that made her the best teacher even after they had reached class 12? So these are some of the questions, teachers, we need to answer. Today we might be in a digital world, we might be using digital tools. All that are only accessories. But the main is the teacher. The main is the human connection. You can have Google Forms, you can have so many tools, you can have a quiz, you can have Kahoot and the works. But till we establish that connection, it's not going to work. So how do children operate? Children will behave right when they feel right. Okay, so that is the most important feature. They have to feel right. They have to be comfortable. They have to love coming to our class. They shouldn't get up in the morning and say that I don't want to go to the school, even if it is an online school, right? So feeling first means getting their full cooperation, accepting and acknowledging that they will give adults the desired headway. So that is important, accepting and acknowledging. So these are some of the key operating features. I will again take you to another activity. Before that, hear, listen, learn, and then teach. So what is the difference between hearing and listening? Can we start typing that on the chat box, please? Difference between hearing and listening. Can we start typing on the chat box? Okay, hearing is just more of a physical activity. Okay, listening is to understand. Listen is to hear and understand, connecting with the speaker. Okay, so listening is more with the ears. Yes, understanding what we hear is listening. Thank you. Thank you for all your answers. So many people have excellent hearing, but they do not listen to what other person is saying. In listening, we absorb the total information, right? And including body language. Listening generates the crucial information about unmet needs. Now, this is very crucial because we are handling 5 to 7-year-olds, right? So, listening generates that crucial information about unmet needs. This is very, very key, teachers. We must sharpen our brains to listen actively and learn effectively. So, as teachers, only if we listen do we learn. What do we learn? We learn about their emotions, we learn what they think. We can make out from their body language how they are disposed that day, how they are feeling that day. Okay, and accordingly, we have to choose how we are going to tweak our lesson. We have to get out of the mode of, I have to finish this lesson today. This is the syllabus. We cannot be syllabus driven all the time. See, finally, what has happened? Corona has taught us that even class 12 examinations can be postponed, right? So even that is possible. Okay, so if that is the case, then what is the big thing about class 1 and 2? Haven't we promoted the children this year? For 2 years rather, that is what we have been doing. We have been sending them from one class to the other. So what did you all do? You must have conducted some assessments, some oral tests. Ultimately, what do we want to know from them? We want to check whether they are learning. Learning is important. And how does learning happen? Only when we learn what they need. Okay, so effective learning leads to effective teaching. Teachers can never be replaced. Technology is only an add-on. This I said earlier as well. It is true that a teacher who is technologically sound has an added advantage that we all have seen. Somebody who has an issue with technology does face a problem in today's time and age. So technology is an added advantage, but you and I cannot be replaced. So that is very, very clear. Okay. So what are the things that as a teacher we need to be thinking of? So when we are getting into a classroom or when we are getting ourselves ready, okay, we should first understand what does the student want to learn. So you might ask me a question, then does it mean that then what happens to the syllabus? What happens to the course? How do we do that? How do we answer the principal in the school? How is that possible? Here, what I would like to say is, it doesn't mean that you have to do everything according to the children's whims and fancies, but keep the larger aspect in mind, keep the larger topic in mind, and then tailor your lesson plan, make your learning tools accordingly, choose your tools accordingly. Are you going to use a story? Are you going to use some other digital tool? How do you first motivate them? How do you bring them to the class where they are present, physically, mentally, emotionally, they are tuned to you, right? So that human connection, that is the most important thing. And that human connection takes time. But once you establish that connection. And that happens with trust. The key word is trust. When children trust us, then they are willing to do anything for us. And that is what we need to build as we go along. So the whole concept of opening a lesson, starting to teach is secondary. That comes next. But first, establishing that connection, doing things with them is what is important. Okay. So they will do anything. I mean, anything is possible with them. They will, they would want to play one day, they would want to uh, learn one day, they might want to sing one day. So they don't know the rules yet. Okay. But what do we do in schools? We teach them rules, and that, in a sense, leads to stifling of the creativity also. So, this whole balancing act of uh, creativity, rules, and bringing them on the same page as you are, so that you get their focus. So there is a research that shows that the attention span of children is roughly 2 times their age. So if you are with 6-year-olds, 7-year-olds, their attention span is only 14 to 16 minutes max. So then what do we do? There where comes our smartness, that if you have a period of 30 minutes, 16 minutes is their attention span. So let that 16 minutes be your concept teaching time. How much time are you left with? You're left with 14 minutes. So 14 minutes can be divided into two: the first 7 minutes and the last 7 minutes, and the between 14 to 16 minutes. So the first 7 minutes is where you do things to motivate them, the human connection part. So you could use variety of strategies there to bring them all, to make them focus, to bring their attention span. And once they are ready, you have done maybe a hands-on activity, you've done an art activity, you've done some listening, you've played some music, you've done some physical activity, which is very important. Of course, you can't do it now, but then, even then, in a way, you can do it actually. You can play music and you can ask your students to stand up and shake their hands, put their hands up on the side and do some physical movement. Shake, 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 shake your hands. Okay, make some noise, do all that, so that they are ready. That first few minutes can be devoted for some such activity, and then you start the concept. How you are going to teach the concept, there comes your lesson planning part. How you plan the lesson, how you decide you want to deliver it, what are the tools you are going to use. Is your lesson going to be an art integrated lesson, as the CBSE mandates, when you go through the NEP? Are you going to use some computer tools? Will it integrate well with the lesson you're teaching? Or are you just doing it for the sake of doing it? Will it seamlessly get woven into the lesson plan? Okay, so that 16 minutes is that key where you keep the attention of the child focused, because you have done initially something that has established that focus. Okay, and then the last is equally crucial, when you need to close the lesson. You need to do a little activity where you collect info through an oral activity or something. What did we do today? Okay, you tell me first, point number 1, point number 2. So that way you sum up the lesson. So that is what leads to learning. I'm sure all of us know all these things. It's not that we don't know. It is just that these workshops and webinars help us reinforce. And when you see that, oh, this is what I have been doing, and this is what, the speaker also says. So then that gives us a kind of a nice feeling. Okay, so I'm on the right track. So this is how at least I have learned when I was a teacher, when I used to go and attend sessions. And when the resource person would say something, I would feel very happy because I was using the same strategy in my own classroom. Okay, so this is a relationship building experiment. You can make a note of it and try it when you go back to the class. This is from a book called Love. I have put the books at the end, in the last slide, so you can read it and you can see that it says it's called the one sentence intervention. Okay. And you can try this with the most uncooperative student in the class. So what do you need to do here? It's really one sentence. Don't have to have big stories and tell them, hey, you didn't do this, I'm so upset, I want you to do this. No big stories. Okay. So it starts with, I noticed that. What you fill in the blank should be something positive and true about the student's personality, nothing to do with his school activities. So what does this require then? It requires that we should be observing our children in the classroom. What else do they do other than the thing that we ask them to do? What have you seen them doing? Okay, leave aside these 2 years. Okay, leave aside this period. It's not going to be like this all the time, isn't it? You all agree with me. We all will go back to the physical school next year. I am very optimistic about that. Okay. So what you fill in the blank should be something positive and true. So what can you say? For example, if you have noticed a child likes reading books on dinosaurs, or in your even online class, he tells you, ma'am, I love reading books on dinosaurs, or I like dinosaurs. I noticed that you like reading books on dinosaurs. I noticed that you express your point of view. So when a child expresses his or her point of view, instead of saying, don't keep talking, don't keep interfering, don't keep saying, if we convert it into a positive statement and say, I notice that you express your point of view, and this one sentence intervention must be tried for almost 3 weeks before you check if they cooperate with you. This is for children who are very fidgety in the class, who don't cooperate, who don't, you have issues with them when it comes to sitting in a place, paying attention. So this is a tried and tested method. Whatever I'm putting here, teachers, is something which has been tried. Nothing here is being said just for the sake of, okay. Now this is the problem. I'm sorry, many people are telling me that they got disconnected and they are unable to join. Actually, this link I have allows 100 people. So I have 98. So there is space for 2 more. Okay. So now I'm going to stop sharing and I'm going to put something on the chat. It's a little activity just to break the monotony of my talking all the time. Give me a minute. Yeah, I have put a link. Can you all see it? Matthew, can everybody see it?
Yes, ma'am. It's in the chat.
Okay. So just open that link and
no, ma'am, we can.
You have to click on the chat. The ma'am has posted the link there.
The link is there. I've not put the activity.
Maybe you have sent to me. You have to send.
No, I have. Okay. I'll do that. Then I changed actually.
No, yeah, just try
No,
once more. Okay,
we
okay.
can't see the link. We can't
Yeah,
see the
1
link.
minute, ma'am. 1 minute.
Okay, I've sent it now. Can
Yeah,
you
yeah.
see?
Now it's to everyone. Now hopefully everyone should see.
Just open the link. It will take you to a Google activity. It's again a multiple choice activity. Do it and submit it. I'll get to see it later. Have you all done it? Can you type yes on the chat box? Okay, now can you see a picture on the screen, teachers? Okay, so now just take a look. As it says, it's the beginning of a story. Okay, so you can see something, just observe it. You don't have to tell anything. Okay, this is the first picture. Now I'm showing you, it says ending of the story. All right. So take a few seconds, take a look at it, observe it. Now I have put the last sentence of the story. The king handed over a bag of wheat seeds and Arun left the serpent kingdom and returned to land, bringing the secret of wheat along with him. Okay. So just to go back for a few seconds. This is picture number 1. Okay. Picture number 2. And the ending. Okay. Now, take a few minutes, think for yourself, and think of the ways that you can do this in the classroom. Okay. What are the ways? There is a story basically. So what are the ways to do it? I have given something here. I have given some information about the story. Let us say you know the whole story with you. I decided to do this. What are the other ways in which we can do this story? Can you start typing in the chat, please? Okay, picture talk. Sujata says picture talk. Okay, Sujata, good. Role play. Okay. Thinking and imagination skills. Yeah, that's the skill. Yes. Through drawing. Okay. Fine. Starting with hissing sound. Yes. So you can do. Yes, Usha is a wonderful storyteller. So that's what I expected. She could probably, tell the story with a hissing sound, start it, story weaving, critical thinking, voice modulation. All those are strategies. Voice modulation is a strategy, isn't it? But okay, which means you will tell the story. Let the children imagine. Yes. Yeah, Shubha here. Yes. Very good. Let the children imagine and share what happened. Ask each child to add a line. Wonderful, Nalini. Yes. Yes. Story completion. Can say one line in the story to complete. Yes. Yes. Wonderful. Wonderful. So you see what I did. Can you all see the screen, teachers? Can you see me showing something? Matthew, can everybody see?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, yes.
I actually did a paper cutting activity also. I made a snake. Can you all see my snake? May not be, it doesn't look like a snake, but it isn't this bad. Okay. All right. So all right. So you all said so many things you could do. Exactly, exactly. So different ways to handle this resource. Option one, very easy, we tell the story. And somebody who is a storyteller, maybe somebody like Usha, somebody like Alka Roy, these two people I definitely know. So it doesn't mean the others don't. So I know some teachers who are here, they also tell good stories. So you tell the story. So which means you transport the children into a world of imagination. They start imagining and you take them to a different world of the story. Now, my question is, when we use option one, that is, we tell the story, what is the objective of telling the story? And what outcome can we achieve? Can you please start typing? So let us say we go for option one. What is the objective? Start typing, please. To inculcate values. All right. Okay, says Megha. Developing imagination. Yes. Creative imagery. Emotional connect. Yes, yes. Vocab. Okay. Okay. Improving skills, enhance creativity, develop interest, enhance curiosity. Yes, Anu, enhance curiosity is one thing that definitely happens as we are telling the story, because children are waiting what will happen next. Creative visualization. Absolutely correct. Absolutely. So that who we will decide the objective, and see, each one of you came up with a different objective. Okay, and none of the objectives are correct, I mean incorrect, if I may say so. Okay, so you decide the objective. What is the objective behind your telling the story? If you want to develop creative visualization, then what should you do? If you want to develop their vocabulary, what should you do? If your focus is pronunciation also, what should you do? Okay, so the outcome of the entire exercise will depend on what objective you choose. So you choose the learning objective and you achieve that desired. Okay. Then other option could be we ask them to work in groups or individually and construct the story with these three inputs. Okay. You divide them into groups of three in a physical classroom. I'm talking of in a physical classroom. Okay. Then they could, you give them only the first picture, you tell them that, and you give the ending line. And you say they construct their story. Somebody said this, they write the whole story. Okay. Such exercises, what do? They help bring out the creativity. Then what learning out can be achieved? What learning outcome can be achieved? Obviously, enhancing their creativity, enhancing their thinking skills. And out of these options, which do you prefer as a teacher and why? Okay, that is very, very important. Which do you prefer and why? At one time, you may prefer option number one. At some other time, you may prefer option number two, or some other option, as many of you suggested. So that depends on the outcome that you have decided. So as a teacher, going back to what Rita Pearson said, first develop the human connection. First understand them so that they can understand you. Then work on the syllabus or the action plan. Then when you plan, I told you the three things. The first part, the main class, and the final. Okay. Now, this is a picture. This shows the creativity. You see, in a Kenyan village, they put some tabs and allowed children to just use it. You won't believe that children could use the tab and they started doing wonderful things. This is documented by one gentleman called Sugata Roy. Okay, he worked with NIIT. We all have heard NIIT. And this experiment was called, the hole in a wall experiment, which he started in India, where in the hole, he actually broke the wall in a village and inserted a computer there and then sealed the, broken space around the computer so that nobody could take the computer away. And he just left it. And he started observing and he started recording what children were doing. Children would come there, stand in front of the computer, start pressing the key, and they discovered paint, they discovered brush, they discovered writing, and then they started teaching each other. This experiment is documented everywhere. So what he wanted to show through this is that we are just facilitators. Let us not think that children will only learn when we teach them. We have to get out of that whole scenario, that whole belief that we carry. Now, this is an interesting thing that I found somewhere. Design thinker Tom Woodgee challenges a group of people to build a structure using 20 sticks of spaghetti, a yard of tape, a yard of string, and a marshmallow. The condition being marshmallow should be on the top. In more than 80 workshops that he has done, it is the 4 to 6-year-olds that manage to do it. They start from the top. MBA students, graduates talk, strategize, plan, and mostly run out of time. So see, these are the things he gave, and these children could just do it. So that is the level of creativity these children have. And these are the children who are coming to your class, mind you, teachers. So we need to ensure that they get that level of, motivation in the class. That's what we have to do. Make that connect. Yes, Ashwini says students learn by themselves. Very true. Very true. So love and logic works. An effective teacher administers consequences with empathy and understanding as against anger and lecture. The name of the game in teaching is getting kids to cooperate. Love and logic teachers. So there are these group of teachers who call themselves the love and logic teacher. You have to give children the logic of what you are doing and why you are doing it. If we say, ye to bacche hain, these are just children and they better do it, they better follow my instructions, it just doesn't work. Okay, when they get love and logic, that is what works with these children. So these teachers agree that it works. Okay, so these teachers call themselves as love and logic teachers. So what can be enforced and what is unenforceable? What works with children? When you say open your book to page 54, it may not work. I will be working from page 54. Just a shift, teachers. Just a shift in the way we approach things. If you're doing it, excellent. This is the way to go. This is the way forward, and I'm sure we will be able to achieve what some of us feel at times we aren't able to. So don't sharpen your pencil when I'm talking. I allow people to sharpen pencils when I am not talking. So when you make it about yourself, instead of saying, don't do this, don't do that. You see, at that age, children love to do things which we tell them not to do because they see that we get anxious. They see that we get irritated and they somehow love it. They enjoy it. Okay. So our goal has to be not to let ourselves get irritated, agitated, worked up. Okay. So I listen to people who raise their hand. All right. So when you make it about yourself rather than saying no to them, then it works. Good educators are experimenters. Okay, that is the key. You keep changing, you keep tweaking. There is no one mantra that will see us through. As long as we are willing to learn, that is the key. Okay, so I'll just quickly show you something that I have been learning recently. So you might find my work not very great, but so this is called creating a story book. Okay, so this is the simple hare and tortoise story which I worked on. Okay, and I took all the pieces of the story and I cut out the places which is not required. So can you see how it moves? And I just did 3 pages just to show you. So this is a paper cutting activity. Okay, so doing things like this differently, thinking of multiple ways. So as a teacher, you have to keep thinking. So when I had to do this workshop, I have been working with the tools and I've been thinking for the past 8 to 10 days to deliver something that is just an hour session. So that point okay, so you may say, oh, maybe you are just sitting and, delivering workshops, but what about us? For us, it's not that easy. We have to do, can you please hold it little upside? Okay, okay, okay. So I learned this activity, paper cutting, from a website called Domestika, where there is this. Can you see it now? So you cut out, you just staple this part. You actually first
Ma'am,
cut.
a little up.
Huh?
A little up. Yes.
Can you see it now?
Yes, ma'am.
So I'll show it to you. So you see, you cut out the parts of the story which are required for each page. So you need to really apply your mind and think which are not required, and accordingly remove that part. You use scissors, you use a scalpel, and so that when you move it, you get the whole story. So this is called creating a story book. I used the hare and the tortoise because that is kind of one of the stories that is easy to do. Okay, so children are innately creative. If we give them the tools and help them explore and discover, they will prove surprisingly good at it. So we have to trust their creativity. They are more creative than us, definitely. The other most important thing is giving choices to them. Power is a major issue between children and adults. While still very young, some kids realize they don't have much control over anything. A toddler unconsciously thinks that he's the smallest. So everyone tells me what to do and I don't get to make decisions. I need to find a way to get some control. Then winning the power struggle becomes all important. So then it's a tussle between the child and the mother at home, the child and the father, the child and the teacher. Okay. When we offer kids a choice instead of making a demand, no power struggle ever begins. So, can we give them choices? Would you like to do it this way or this way? That is why, even in that picture story, I said you could have different groups working on that story differently. One group could be actually doing the writing. Okay. One could be making pictures, the in between pictures. So each group could be representing it their own way instead of there being only one way. Okay. So there you are giving them the choices, you are giving them the clues and telling them to reconstruct the story for you. Okay. And it could be their own story. Okay. This is a story from Sudha Murthy's book, but it can be your story too. It can be their own story. Okay. I'm going to show this little video. It's a YouTube video. I'll just show it to you for 2 minutes. May not show the whole video, but give me a second. I will bring it back, bring it. There is a reason why I am showing this video.
Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel.
So the reason I played this video was to show you that this is a child that comes to our class. Some of the children are this confident. They are making their own videos. So this is where we stand today as educators, okay? We are at that crossroad where today's child has so much to share, so much to do, so much to give us. Okay? So if we can transform ourselves learners, then uh, please mute yourself. Some of you have unmuted and I can hear a lot of background noises. Thank you so much. So is there any short method? No, that's why I put it as a question mark. We must keep experimenting, tweaking according to the situation we are in. Things that really work, of course, are the right attitude, okay? Engaging with the 3 H's, the head, the heart, and the hand. The head is where you bring the cognitive stuff, you bring the lesson, you bring the different methods to teach the lesson. Heart is the connection, the human connection you make with the child in the class. You understand, the child trusts you, the child can come and talk to you, share his or her concerns, feelings, etc. And the hand, using the hands for doing activities, hands-on activities, painting, drawing. So if these 3 elements can be brought into the classroom, then it really works with the children of